fragile world kept under keys. Behind these walls, the silence grows, a guarded heart no one knows. Chains of fear, they hold me tight, a prison built to shield the light. The echoes call from days gone by, but still I keep the key nearby. My heart's under lock, no door to find, lost in the shadows, trapped in my mind. The key's in my hand, but I'm afraid of what's unleashed if the chains are unmade. I felt the weight of love before, it knocked and left and closed the door. The scars remain, though time has flown, so here I stay safe but alone. A voice calls out, so warm, so clear, a chance to heal, to draw you near. I cannot risk what's held so tight, to free my heart, to feel the light. My heart's under lock, no door to find, lost in the shadows, trapped in my mind. The key's in my hand, but I'm afraid of what's unleashed if the chains are unmade. Could you be the one to break the seal, to show me love that's pure and real? The courage grows, the fear remains. Can I endure the joy and pain? My heart's under lock, but I'll take the chance. Step toward love, a hopeful dance. The key turns slowly, the walls fall apart, revealing the truth of my guarded heart.
How you doing? Tuesday. Tuesdays aren't that crusty, but today might be. Today might be an exception. As the first part of the stream, of today's stream, I will take a look at the second half of that VeilGuard hot take from Mutineer. Yeah, I want to finish watching. I hope it doesn't frustrate me more, but hey, you know, if it does, I guess, content. If it doesn't, well, it's still content, so there's no L variation of this. For me, it's a win. It's just, you know, stuff to talk about, I guess. Just a sec, I'm just fixing something right here. Ah, fuck. Come on, you fucking piece of junk. Okay. Maybe this works? Okay. It's not really cooperating. Okay, there you go. So, yeah, let's just get into it because, you know, I wanna decide what I will stream on Tuesdays since we're waiting for more Jody, and I got nothing else to do today. So yeah, we'll see. But first things first. So, where's my mouse pointer? There it is. Hi, mouse pointer. Okay. Yeah, where were we? I don't know where we were, but I know where we are. So, you know, typical rules apply. Obviously, don't annoy the person, and I'm always discussing, like, or as much as I can, just discussing like their opinions and offering mine. And in some cases, I'll play the devil's advocate, I guess. And in most cases, I'll just speak my mind. But yeah, I don't know. We're all different. We all have different opinions and, different experiences, I guess. So this is my take on this guy's take. So, how it goes. No copyright, blah blah, whatever. This is just, you know it, okay? You just fucking know it. I don't intend anything vile or malicious, blah 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 blah, whatever. It's tiring to say that shit, honestly, but I do mean it. As well as what is implied by what I just said. I don't intend anything bad or copyright related or anything like that. Okay, so I'm just like a person who talks on Twitch. That's all I am, and gaming as well. But yeah, I'm trying to say that, like, don't get your pants in a twist. But if you do, I'm open to discussion or whatever, and in all seriousness, if like what I'm doing is not okay, I guess I'll find out. Somebody will tell me, I guess. Though I personally see nothing wrong with it. One person posts their opinion, and of course, I guess the rest of us can watch it and have our own opinions as well on the opinion. Okay, so I have clumsily covered all that shit. I have my soft drink right here. I have a fucking migraine as well since yesterday. I just didn't mention it yesterday, but it's here. So that might affect my mood a little bit, but hey, I'll try not to let it. And beyond that, I suppose we can start. And if I'm not, like, if my voice is not going through clear or whatever, just let me know, the sound things. You can just let me know. Or not, and make fun of me for having a shitty fucking microphone or whatever. Okay, that out of the way. Let me just do this a little bit. Righto. Yeah, let's get into it straight away, I guess.
Are you hearing yourself? Krem had such a small role and could essentially be ignored. In contrast, Tosh is non-binary, and if you want to get the good ending of the game, you are forced to be part of this entire journey of them discovering their non-binary. And not only that, but you're also forced to agree with them and be extremely supportive. Compared to this, you could completely ignore Krem, and when you spoke to him about being trans, your Inquisitor didn't even have the option to be supportive. You could either be confused or outright not understand or agree with his experience. And while I absolutely think you should also have had an option to be understanding or supportive, I do appreciate that you had other options in Inquisition to be more of an asshole as well, because if you were role-playing an evil Inquisitor, they could kill and torture and imprison people, but suddenly they would draw the line at transphobia. Anyway, just wanted to mention how there is a clear bias towards transfeminine and non-binary identities being represented, whereas trans men are
Yeah, so, yeah, Krem, the person that Mutineer is referring to, was a very minor NPC in the company of Aaron Bull. I remember Krem. Yeah, not because he was trans, but because, he was like Aaron Bull's right arm, let's say. So, just as much as I noticed Harding, I noticed also Krem. Krem was well done, in my opinion, because not only did you have the options to be mean to them or whatever, Mutineer said, but also because, well, it was done right. Nothing was focused on the matter too much, and the character just existed, and that's fine. And I won't say that's like some kind of huge representation, but it's normal. It's like fine, whatever, just in case you didn't know who Krem was, The name though, Krem, come on, dude. Krem? Really? Anyway, let's continue, right?
just represented in a much smaller, far less meaningful way. And as a trans man, I have to say that it kind of sucks. However, I honestly am relieved that BioWare's writers didn't focus more strongly on representing trans men, because if Tosh is any indication, it would be a horrible experience seeing myself represented in such a way. Anyway, hate to break it to you, whoever needs to hear this, but being non-binary isn't about feeling more like a man than a woman, or being more like a woman than a man. That's being a trans man or a trans woman. Being non-binary isn't about not liking wearing dresses or not liking wearing pants. Being non-binary means you don't really feel like your gender identity fits with either men or women. However, that does not mean you have to dress in an androgynous way either. There are non-binary people who prefer to look more masculine, others who prefer to look more feminine, and of course some as well who do prefer a more androgynous or as genderless look as possible. However, in our society, this genderless androgynous look is really a fairly masculine presentation, even if people like to pretend that it isn't, that it's some third mysterious thing. As much as people would like to pretend otherwise, masculine tends to be the default, even if this is pushed forward as neutral. Anyway, not here to discuss gender expression and performativity through clothing, but do keep that in mind. In essence,
But you've discussed it already like so much that it doesn't matter any now to just tell us that you don't want to discuss it. Like you've literally just contradicted and inter-contradicted and over-contradicted and re-contradicted yourself. That it's like, yeah, at this point, I don't know, dude. You're losing your track. But correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure that like the Kunari is supposed to be non-binary. To me, it looks like the Kunari just feels like a man, identifies as a man, more than a girl. I don't think they're trying to represent non-binary, but rather, you know, a biologically born female identifying more as a male. That's what I took from it as much as I've watched it. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and to be honest, like all this labeling system is to me, even as a trans person myself, it's to me very confusing. And I mentally just kind of check out when it becomes like so nuanced. I just check out. Like to me, for my simplistic fucking small brain, immature, whatever you want to call it, it's like male, female, trans. That's all there is. I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm just too fucking simple for this world. I don't care. The point is that like to me. The Kunari looks like a trans man in the coming out. I don't think they're implied to be non-binary. I don't know. I don't really know. Perhaps I shouldn't speak about things I don't understand, but I can definitely speak about what I perceive at least. So all this conversation about this Kunari is not represented in that way. Like yeah, sure. But what is this Kunari? Is it really a non-binary representation, or is it like really what I'm saying? Because I'm torn on this a little bit, because now Mutineer here informs me that or implies that Tash, whatever, is non-binary, but she clearly says I feel more like a man, to paraphrase. I'm confused a little bit, I don't know. So yeah.
please remember that gender isn't mainly about the clothes you wear. It's about how you feel and how you want to be perceived and treated in society. And yes, clothes do play a part in that, but they're not the main thing. Continuing with the scene.
Tosh, do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a woman.
Ah.
This is stupid. Forget I said anything.
Hey, it's not stupid. I do like being a woman, but if you don't, maybe that's something to think about.
But what does it mean?
It could be about your mother's expectations, or about how it feels to be a woman and Kunari. Or maybe it's being a woman, period.
How would knowing that help? It won't change anything.
First off, it's absolutely offensive and invalidating to a lot of other people's experience to say that nobody likes being a woman. Plenty.
Okay, I knew that Mutineer was gonna literally chomp down on that one part. I wanted to pause there, but I will pause here instead. This is open to interpretation, very much so, because immediately when I heard the Kunari saying that, my mind was like, oh, Mutineer is going to be happy about it. And that was like 1 second after I was like, nope, he's gonna chomp down on that shit. And the reason why I initially said he's gonna be happy about it is because simply put, to me at least, it sounds like the Kunari is saying exactly what Mutineer is saying, that it's not something that you are as a role, as a you're not Batman but with like female clothes. It's like something you are. In that sense, to me, it sounded like the Kunari was saying nobody likes being a woman. You either feel or are, both are valid, or not. Which is exactly what Mutineer was saying, like in the first part yesterday when we checked it, that like it's not something you assume as a role, and underneath you're something else. You're not playing dress up. It's you feel it, you really feel it, and it is an answer I have legitimately given to someone, and that's how I know for a fact that this is a very legitimate dialogue, and it does not mean. Or at least, if we want to be lenient, it can be either. So I would say this one is open to interpretation. You can choose to be insulted by this, but with the experiences that I have gathered, gained, been through my life, when somebody, which that somebody was me in the instance, tells someone else, you don't like being a woman, you don't like being a man, you are / feel one or the other or whatever in between. You don't like it, and yes, in the moment, Tesh, the Kunari, whatever, is agitated clearly, and you can tell by the body language and the expression that she's clearly just very, very awkward and uncomfortable, and also probably very sad and angry as a result, and feels cornered but also exposed, in which mental state it's natural to be a bit snappy and a bit more aggressive. But even though I was the same in my situation where it was like very similar, the other person immediately understood that I'm talking about that it's not a role. You don't like it. It's not like, I like this suit, I'm gonna wear it. It's not like that. Or I like to play this role, I'm gonna play this role. No, it's not like that. So I think, to me, it sounded like, based on my experience, because I've been in that dialogue in real life. I'm pretty sure that the Kunari is saying you don't just like it, you feel it, or you are. With which you're informing, or you're attempting to let the other person know that, like, it's not just a phase, it's not just a role, it's something that is there. It's like deeply rooted. You don't just like it. It's not like I hope you get it. So yes, you can choose to take it as nobody likes being a woman. But let me check something out in the dialogue, and I'll tell you my opinion on this. Give me a sec. Let's hear this together.
And Kunari. Or maybe it's being a woman, period.
How would knowing that help? It won't change anything.
First off,
Feels, what is it, woman? Hey, it's not stupid. I do like...
This is stupid. Nobody...
Tosh,
There we go.
do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes...
So, as you can see, I would venture to say that I'm correct. She scoffs at some perceived slight as she corrects the maids that you don't just like being a woman. The way she says it supports this, and the fact that this is in italics supports my opinion further, because it's explanatory. Like, nobody likes being a woman, and you can say it in that tone, and you'll still not mean nobody likes being a woman. So the intonation and the dialogue is correct for what I'm trying to prove. Like, the evidence is there. There is no proof, of course. We can't be in the mind of the writers. But yes, you could argue it can be taken both ways, but it feels like the writers tried to ensure that it won't be taken that way by using italics here and having her scoff and correct the mage. Because yeah, that would be a correction. And she's angry. As I said, like her mental state supports this. So I think there is no slight here. There is no assholeness as in disrespect to those who, you know, enjoy themselves as they are, as they were born and as they identify as by birth. So yeah, nobody's canceling that. She just says, you don't just like it. You either are or you aren't. Which, a further evidence to what I'm saying, is that this sentence can also imply or point out at her own frustration at being a woman, at being born this way, by saying that like it's not something I can just not like and it changes. You know? So I'm sorry, but I'm gonna go with my interpretation, having said this fucking actual line. So, and I know what I was feeling in that moment. I know that not everyone is gonna feel the way I was feeling when they say something like that, no matter how similar we are. But there is a very good chance that the intention of this scene is what I said, of this dialogue is what I said. So basically, Tash is saying you can't, like if she was calm, for example, and warm to the other person, they would probably say, you know, being a woman is not, or a man or whatever, is not something that you simply like. It's something that you are. But being in the state that she is and being the person that she is, she goes like, nobody likes being a woman, you know? Which, yeah. It's let's also hear the tone and everything.
Tosh, do you like being a woman?
Nobody likes being a...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm correct. Because it doesn't say nobody likes being a woman, or she doesn't say nobody likes being a woman. She says nobody likes being a woman. So, yeah, you could argue both ways, but I'm sorry. It's not nitpicking, it's pretty important, especially if you're like me, if you've been a social little butterfly like your whole fucking life, and for better or worse, like, you know, being interested in psychology and in like reading people and all that shit, you kind of pick up on that shit. Something that perhaps maybe Mutineer just didn't pick up. But I see nothing malicious here, but I can also see how it could be interpreted as potentially malicious. But the fact that Mutineer is going into an outrage about it straight up, be open, my dude. Be fucking open and understand the other person. Try to, at least. Anyway, let's go on, whatever. But so far, this continues being a very L take in general, this video. Anyway.
a woman.
Ah,
This is stupid. Forget I said anything.
Hey, it's not stupid. I do like being a woman, but if you don't, maybe that's something to think about.
But what does it mean?
It could be about your mother's expectations, or about how it feels to be a woman and Kunari. Or maybe it's being a woman, period.
How would knowing that help? It won't change anything.
First off, it's absolutely offensive and invalidating to a lot of other people's experience to say that nobody likes being a woman. Plenty of women love being women, including trans women. Obviously, if they didn't enjoy being women, why would they even transition in the first place? This statement screams of self-hatred and internalized misogyny. It's one thing to say that you personally don't enjoy being a woman, and it's another thing entirely to imply that everyone who is a woman must secretly hate it. In this scene, a woman rook can interject to say that she does like being a woman, but that's honestly too little too late. Nev's only reaction is to say, ah. I don't even know what that means. I have no idea what Nev is implying when she says, ah, in response to Tosh saying that nobody likes being a woman. Does Nev not like being a woman either? Does that ah imply she agrees? We don't really know because Nev herself doesn't actually...
Okay, so this is nitpicking, but also correct, because that lack of response is a result of bad writing. So yeah, yeah, it can also be like, do you want me to analyze this really? I mean, you can say for many reasons. You can say, for example, when I say it, right? I'm the only example I have, by the way, that I can responsibly talk about. So that's why I'm using me as an example all the time. When I do that, it can mean as many things as the word malakas in Greek. It can mean I'm being sarcastic. It can mean I understand. It can mean, oh, this sounds very complicated for now. It can mean like you don't understand. Like it's so many things. But it seems to me that, you know, once again, since Mutineer is like so negatively predisposed, obviously to him it's going to be something very negative and awkward. It might even be, you know, as I said, like it can be many things. Bad writing, though.
And could essentially be ignored. In contrast, Tosh is non-binary, and if you want to get the good ending of the game, you are forced to be part of this and also have had an option to be understanding or supportive. I do appreciate that you had other options in Inquisition. Tell someone you look really pretty, and they say, oh, perhaps, and she
To look at.
anything. Other people's gender and how they
Sorry,
feel
I
about
fucked
it.
up, and
But then
so
it
now I
gets
have to
really
track back to where we were.
in response to Tosh saying that nobody likes being a woman. Does Nev not like being a woman either? Does that imply she agrees? We don't really know because Nev herself doesn't actually comment on this, and only a woman rook has the option to say this if the player chooses it. Otherwise, if you choose the other options, I guess you just let this comment from Tosh pass, as if it's fine to just say things like this about other people's gender and how they feel about it. But then it gets really weird, because Tosh asks, but what does it mean in relation to how they feel about being a woman? Then when Rook offers an explanation, all Tosh has to say about it is, how would knowing that help? It won't change anything. I'm sorry, what? Tosh was the one who asked what it means in the first place, but then suddenly after Rook offers a few possibilities, they don't want to think about it anymore because it won't change anything?
Yeah, that's like a reasonable reaction again from a person in the mental state of an emotional state of Tash. She wants to get the fuck out of there. She wants to get the fuck out of there. She's very insecure in the moment, and she feels cornered. I've told you this before. I'm not going to explain it again. In that context, a person like that is likely to have this reaction, to be like, okay, drop it, just no, I don't want to face my inner demons, that's it. Cancel, bail out, fucking press F, let's go. It can happen. You can also see the frustration, like, you know, how is this going to help? She just doesn't see any possible reasonable solution. Don't forget that these guys, as a party, they aren't really tight yet. Okay, so that also plays a role there. They're not really tight yet. Especially Tass, I think, is just recently introduced in that segment, which means that she's like everything. Listen, I shouldn't have to explain these things, but hey, you know what? Whatever. Everything just backs up my analysis of the character in that current time. I shouldn't have to point it out. Let's move on. I think what Mutineer is saying is completely wrong here. It's not a reaction out of spite. It's just you know, convoluted feelings about all that shit, making her wanna literally just get the fuck out of there. Which, yeah, it makes sense. Like, the things that she's being told in the moment and the things that she's been prompted to think about and feel are literally a barrage. There's too much information too soon and completely unexpected, because she was probably expecting the rest of the party to berate her or to joke about it, which is probably something she's had to face before. I would risk saying without knowing. But to me, it smells like, oh, she's been in a situation like that. When she opened up, what happened was she was laughed at or was taken lightly. So, yeah. Moving on.
But then previously, when you could choose to officially have your rook be trans, knowing who you are is super important. Which one is it, BioWare? Does it not mean anything, or is it crucial? And then let's get the last part of the scene out of the way too.
Some of my friends in Minrathous talk about not feeling comfortable in their own skin. As a man, as a woman. I could see if they'd like to talk. Maybe what they say fits how you're feeling.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks. You do look really pretty.
Oh?
To look at, I'd smudge your makeup.
Thanks for letting me down gently.
First of all, yuck. I'm sorry. I think that
Yeah.
is the most explicit.
So, okay. Okay. Moment of truth here. Seriously, Mutineer would fucking hate my guts if we ever met. Because I would say things like that. Because I'm fucking promiscuous. I'm sorry. I'm very forthcoming with my, with my commentary. Just earlier I was in Guild Wars and like we were like 4 of us there in guild chat. And the things we were saying to each other, especially the things I was saying, I think would make Mutineer fucking vomit instantly. Because there were many fucking things said. So these two are trying to make light of the situation. The maids is obviously, teasing, going like, oh, the Kunari is trying to dissolve the situation, to diffuse the situation and to show some kind of warmth. She goes like, yeah, I didn't mean what I said, you're actually pretty. I think she looks down when she does that.
Thanks. You do look really pretty.
Yes. As you can see, it's an honest admission. You can tell by the body language as it goes like, yeah, I give you the spotlight. I'm gonna bow down. I'm not gonna look straight at you because I'm gonna say something that is honest and makes me feel, lovey-dovey. You do look really pretty, To that, the maids immediately picks up and goes,
Oh?
which is a tease, because it's usually you will do that, or at least I would do that, for example, if I wanted to be less obvious about wanting the other person to elaborate, because I'm enjoying teasing them after they've exposed a warmer side towards me. Because I don't want to be presumptuous, I don't want to say something immediately, but this O is very, it's a checkmate move, because you're forcing the other person to reply, something to explain, because of what O, implies, as in, do go on, like, what do you mean, but in a nice way, and we can tell.
To look at, I'd smudge your makeup.
You can tell because they're both enjoying the scene. No, neither of them feels offended. Somebody who is streetwise, street smart, like the maids, and experienced and whatnot, will pick up on this and will go on like that.
Thanks for letting me down gently.
I can tell, like, what I'm getting from the vibe, if I was in front of that scene playing, it would be like, since the Kunari said to look at, and, I'd smudge your makeup. It seems to me to imply that she finds the maids not to be her type, because she appears to be more delicate than what Tash would prefer from a partner. Tash expresses this by being bold and saying, oh, I'd wreck you. So I'm sorry, this is kind of cute actually. I see nothing too bad. It's a little bit straightforward, something that I wouldn't go that far in such a direct manner, but probably in an indirect manner I would. Tash, however, is a barbarian, is that archetype, or stereotype if you want to be cynical, which would go like, oh no, I don't want to fuck you, I'm gonna fucking wreck you if I try. You know, she's the kind of person who would say that without malice, but just because they're simple like that. And the mage is like, oh, you know, like immediately getting stonewalled there. She goes like, oh, well, you know, thanks for letting me know, I guess, you know. You can tell by the expression. You caught it there, if you pay attention.
I'd
Look at
smudge your
this.
makeup.
Thanks for letting me down gently.
She's disappointed. Thanks for letting me down, you know, but gently, which is sarcastic because it wasn't gentle. It was literally told, oh, you'd break, fuck you. I don't want to be with you. Not fuck you, but like, oh, I'd break you. I don't, you know. So, is there something wrong with the scene? No. Is it offensive? No. Does it have to do anything with representing? No, it doesn't. Is it actually bad writing? No, not really. Tash is doing what you would expect her to. She is that archetype, as I said again. I don't see anything wrong with this. Moving on.
First of all, yuck. I'm sorry. I think that is the most explicitly sexual thing I've heard in a Dragon Age game. Not even Isabella was so uncouth, and she was one of my favorite characters. So you tell someone you look really pretty, and they say, oh, perhaps expecting something of a romantic nature, and then you suddenly turn it sexual by implying you would smudge their makeup with actions that I would prefer not to talk about as someone who is on the asexual spectrum.
Ah, there we go. You're on the asexual spectrum. Yeah. I'm gonna say it right now, and I hope it's not offensive. It's just my own taste. I don't fuck with, and no pun intended, I don't fuck with asexual people. I just don't. It is like trying to, for me, it's like you're from another planet. You are literally from another planet. I don't know what to do with you or like what to say to you. All my humor is completely nullified. All my dialogue options are completely negated. I don't know how to behave around an asexual person. I've tried, so to speak, to be friends with them, but eventually they find me to be crass and yucky, as Mutineer puts it. I would say that neither of us is entitled here to be wrong or right. I would say that, hey, if what you experienced from the dialogue is discussed, I can understand you if you're asexual. That doesn't make it a bad dialogue, and for the rest of us who are the opposite, who are promiscuous and flirty and, you know, and foul-mouthed sometimes about it, that was a very regular dialogue. I don't think the mage was offended. I don't think Tash intended an offense. I don't think anybody cared except Mutineer. Is it bad writing? No. No, it isn't. It's actually legitimately realistic. So yeah, you are asexual. You're now a lot of things make sense, and I'm not saying that in a bad way, but in a good way. Now I understand where Mutineer is coming from. But if you want to make an objective critique, you have to understand that there is going to be people out there who are not yacked out by this, and so this dialogue is as legitimate as it is bad for you. You're trying to say that Dragon Age has a bad taste in representing, but it turns out that you just don't like the way it's represented. Valid, but I thought we were making an objective video here. And now you're saying, oh, I'm asexual, and you know what? That fucking irked me. Nobody cares. We're just trying to examine if it was bad writing or legitimate or anything to do with representation. It has nothing to do with representation, by the way, because how someone flirts is not... I hope you can't hear the dog. If you can, you know, woof woof, whatever. Yeah, being trans and how you flirt and how foul-mouthed you are, no relation in between them. Sorry. Just none whatsoever. So, moving on, because this is like such an invalid point.
Thank you. What Nev says is very nice and thoughtful, offering to talk to some trans people who could meet up with Tosh to discuss their own experiences so that Tosh can figure out how they feel and see if any of those other trans people's experiences sound similar to how Tosh is feeling. Then Tosh responds with, yeah, okay. First of all, that's such a modern way of talking that takes me right out of the setting. But really, implying
Yeah, okay, but this is like bad writing. The thing is, I've seen this yeah okay thing. I've seen it in like Skyrim. Your character will use okay, will use yeah. Um, I'm pretty sure about the okay thing. It also broke my immersion, and I considered it bad writing. I agree, but we are doing representation here. We're not doing bad writing here. But I agree. Yeah, things like that are a little bit annoying. However, Guild Wars is full of that. Do you call these anachronisms? The fuck, I don't remember. But anyway, it's full of that, and it doesn't really bother me because it was there from the start. Now, in Dragon Age, that shit wasn't there from the start. I don't remember it from Dragon Age 2 or 1, or even Inquisition, but I could be wrong. So, two things. Either it was there, in which case it's fine, or it wasn't, in which case bad writing. Nothing to do with representation.
something sexual towards a person that you don't like is a way to let them down gently. I know that I'm autistic and on the A spectrum, but that doesn't sound like the appropriate way to reject someone's romantic or sexual advances. In fact,
sorry, but what? Let me hear this again.
that you don't like is a way to let them down the setting. But really, implying something sexual towards a person that you don't like is a way to let them down gently. I know that I'm autistic and on the A spectrum.
Okay, so here's the thing. People like me, if I flirt with you, if I'm promiscuous with you, it doesn't necessarily mean I like you. You have to understand that this is like the opposite of being asexual, right? I can't help it. I can't help it. My brain just does that thing. I cannot stop it. It's how I am. If that makes the other person be let down, then let me flip the table on you. When you say you're asexual, it's a letdown to me. Because now I can't fuck you. And you can't fuck me either. That's a big letdown. So just telling me, oh, you know, I can see that you're making advance on me, but I'm asexual. Okay, thanks for like fucking creating this dead end. I really enjoyed it. You see, if I was as petty as Mutineer is, I would say that like this is like absurd. It's bleh. So it's kind of like in between. Like the solution here is in between. It's not bad. I can't fault Tash because both of them were being playful, right? Both the maids and Tash were being playful. I don't, honestly, from the way that the maids reacted, I don't think she was like hurt or something. Like what? She managed to fall in love with Tash like within one scene, and then she had such a heartbreak because Tash was like straightforward with it, while also reassuring her that she's pretty. That's the maid's problem, not Tash's. I'm sorry. Tash is just being who she is. She's just being like, oh yeah, you know, you're pretty, but I don't think I would go for you. It's like, excuse me, have you never been picked up by a person you just didn't want to do anything with? Because I have, and my responses are usually playful because I don't want them to feel bad. And sometimes I recognize that they're actually pretty people. Sometimes they're actually great people as well, as you know, as a character, I mean. But I just don't want to do something with them. It's just, you know, it doesn't click. It doesn't work for me. So in that case, I don't want to alienate them. I also don't want to appear like someone who I'm not. So I'm not gonna be like formally telling them, oh, I'm not interested, or do something that I consider silly and out of character for me to do in real life, which would be, it's time for me to go or something like that. I find that so stupid. To me, it's like, and that's my personal opinion. It's nothing wrong if you don't agree, but that's how I do things. That's how I work. You know, you gotta meet halfway when you're dealing with such situations. So here the mage has to meet halfway because she knows that Tash is like straightforward, she sees that, but at the same time, you know, like why interpret it as, I don't know, dude, it's so confusing. And by it I mean Mutineer's take on this. Listen, this shit is allowed. Like, it can happen. It can happen. Okay, it's not bad writing. It's not bad representation. It's nothing to do with representing, by the way. Again, yeah, if did Tash fucking lead the mage on? No. How you don't even have enough time to do that in 2 sentences. When did that happen? I didn't see that. Like, when did that fucking happen? Because what Mutineer is saying in other words here is like, oh, that was so harsh because the maids expressed interest, but Tash was like leading her on and then rejecting her. There was no leading on. There was straight up rejection, which is fair game, dude. It's fair game. You're not my type. You're really pretty, but you're not my type. Yeah, it can hurt because emotions are a thing. It can hurt. Nobody likes being rejected. What else is new? You know, sky's blue out there. What else is new? What is so fucking, like, why is this so fucking despicable? I don't understand. Other than the fact that, yeah, it sucks to be rejected, I guess. But then again, it was like 2 sentences. Like, well, when did the feelings develop? What happened? What the fuck happened there? Nothing. Just a nothing burger. Let's continue.
But that doesn't sound like the appropriate way to reject someone's romantic or sexual advances. In fact, Tash's line sounds far more like they are encouraging more flirtation, not putting a stop to it. While I was watching the scene to write down my thoughts on it, my partner said it sounds like the writers played the game Exquisite Corpse, where each person writes one line on a piece of paper, then gives the paper to the next person who writes a line.
Yeah, if the maids was going to continue it, being the character that she is, she could come up with a billion ways to cement the fact, at least. You know, if she wanted to push, she could say, "Try me." She could say, "You know, I'm not as delicate as I look, darling." Shit like that. It wouldn't be out of character for her. I will die on this hill. This would not be out of character for the mage. She didn't. She was satisfied with the conclusion, end of story, moving on.
And then conceals everything but the last line written before giving the paper to the next person, who also writes a line only having seen the previous one, and so on, which usually ends with a quite nonsensical or surreal story due to the players only having seen the latest sentence before adding their contribution. Honestly, after my partner described it like this, I can't see this scene in any other way. It does genuinely feel like multiple people wrote different parts of it and then Frankensteined it together to create this abomination of a scene that...
No, it sounds like you just need to get out more. I'm sorry. You need to meet more people. And you need to understand that not everyone is asexual. So, you know, even though you can't relate to that experience and I can't relate to your experience, Mutineer, there are other perspectives. And people don't talk like you talk or like I talk, not all of them. Okay? But you can at the very least try to relate. Just like I'm trying to relate when I say, you are informing us that you are asexual. This explains a few things. What I'm doing with this is not saying, bah, ha, 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 you know, that makes sense, you're asexual, ha, ha. It's actually the opposite. It's like, oh, I see, you know, that's why you have these views. But what I'm saying is try to do the same with Tash, okay? Go like, oh, I see, you're that type. You're you know, as a character, you're attempting to be that archetype. I see. In that case, it works. And then things will make sense. But as long as you're just in your little bubble, everything will appear yucky and wrong and bad for you and horrible and disjointed, because they are dialogue choices that you wouldn't make, but you are failing to understand that somebody like Tash would make these dialogue options, and there are people out there to whom these dialogue options would be acceptable, like the mage. So, you know, get out a little bit more, I guess.
That makes no fucking sense. I hope that my notes on this scene have shed some light on why such representation is not as progressive or positive as it may seem. I have to agree with the sentiment that
This has nothing to do. This whole segment is not representation. All of this segment has nothing to do with representing anything. It is two people. Like what Mutineer is taking issue with is bad writing in general. In his opinion. Sorry, it's not on purpose when I misgender. I know it because I'm being misgendered sometimes. I know it sucks. I'll try to do better. His opinion. I'm really sorry. In Mutineer's opinion, it's like bad writing, which I agree. There is bad writing, definitely. The story is just bad. The characters are shallow. I agree with all of that, but none of this segment was about representation. This segment has been Mutineer just being pissy about the dialogue options. That's all. Fair enough, but there is nothing about representation there. So far, I don't see bad representation from Tash. I see that yes, they did choose to make a trans person appear this way. However, it's not something that I can't relate or accept, because there are people, again, I have been like that. Okay? So, yeah. It's funny, like I look back at it through Tash here, through this interaction, and I'm like, it's funny that I've had these dialogues, you know, and to rub some salt in there, I will say exactly what Rook is saying. That yeah, it's been rough, but look where I am now. I am far closer to an ideal me, you know, as I would like me to be. You know, which according to Mutineer is such a cringy thing to say. Well, enjoy then. Enjoy the cringe. I offer it for free. You know, welcome to my TED cringe talk, I guess. No, it seems to me that Mutineer is a very condescending person, and I don't know, very snobbish. Whatever, dude. Moving on.
the trans representation in this game isn't truly meant to make trans people feel seen or make them more accepted in society. Instead, it feels just like one particular trans person's personal fantasy, making all the characters say what they want as if they're acting out a scene with puppets, rather than try to represent complex and
This part I will agree with. They could have done a far better job. Again, more options, more growth, more development on Tasha's side, different outcomes, more dynamics between the team. Yeah, true, but yeah. But in the context of having such bad writing, then again, like what I said yesterday, necessarily then, as a result, but not in a vacuum, representation is bad in VeilGuard, yes. But would this character work as good representation under the right circumstances? Yes, absolutely. It would be a good representation. Not because that's how everyone is, but because how a lot of people are like that. Just like a lot of people are all happy-go-lucky with being trans. Both are valid. So is it bad representation because the individual is perplexed and confused and immature about it? It's fine. For real, it's fine. Again, it's what surrounds it and what happens with it, what VeilGuard does with that turns it into bad representation. That's the problem. Not the fact that they portray not, you know, a trans person, one out of whom knows how many billions, all right, who happens to be going about it in a clumsy way. There is, I would argue, in fact, that this is more ripe grounds for good development and more immersion and more drama than if Tash was like, you know, yeah, no, everything is cool. Yeah, no, like, do you want to talk about that? Nah, I'm good. Like, what? There's nothing there. For a side character, that would be okay, but if you want to have a mature conversation about it, then you need a character who is also troubled by it. And through your journey, they are also having a journey, and perhaps in that case, you're both having a journey through it. You, as a person that perhaps, I'll just say as an example, is not that familiar with the object, concept or subject, okay? So the object. They can maybe become more familiar with it through their experience with Tash being that way, but then also developing. Like, there is so much untapped potential in this, which would have been lost if Tash, for example, was like, yeah, cool, no, I am this. Accept it. But of course then VeilGuard fucks up, because what ends up happening is, yeah, that's all you can do essentially. There's nothing else. Just, yeah, okay. As a response to Tash. It is, yeah. It's just bad writing, but again, I think I've made my point. Moving on.
Perfect characters talking about a difficult subject. I'm not here to point a finger at Corinne Bush or perhaps at Trick Weeks. However, I can't help but look towards them for the direction of these scenes, as the two of them are trans people who worked on this game in a leadership position. Corinne as the game director and Trick as the lead writer. No matter how bad this representation is, however, please do not send hate towards any creator involved in VeilGuard's development. It's one thing to analyze and criticize a piece of media and discuss our criticism in hopes that the creators will learn from their mistakes moving forward. It's another thing entirely.
They don't need to learn from any mistake other than the writers they hired. They didn't do a mistake. Like the direction of those scenes is fine. Okay. Now it makes sense to me, because if I understood correctly, Mutineer here confirms that like there were trans people involved in the making. So obviously now it makes sense to me how realistic that dialogue was. And I'm not being sarcastic. I'm actually defending now VeilGuard. Not because I found out that there are trans people involved in making it, but because now it makes so much sense that I will defend this scene and I will die on this hill. This scene is good. In a vacuum.
To accuse them and throw hate at them for what is ultimately a human mistake. A human mistake as part of a franchise worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but still a human mistake. And you can't blame only a handful of people for what was, after all, approved at a corporate level by dozens of people higher in the corporate chain. Let us move on to analyzing the scene where Tosh comes out to their mother, Shathan, as non-binary. This scene was so confusing to me as a trans person because Tosh's mother actually sounds accepting of their child's identity, even if a bit confused at first. But there is no negative reaction there, simply confusion and a desire to understand. I wish people could react in such a curious and positive way in general when people come out to them as trans.
This is where we eat.
Wait, what?
I see.
1 second.
Shathan, it's good to see you again.
My child.
And I use this person because Tosh's mother actually sounds accepting of their child's identity, even if a bit confused at first. But there is no negative reaction there, simply confusion and a desire to understand. I wish people could react in such a curious and positive way in general when people come out to them as trans.
Yeah, sure, okay. So what's the issue?
This is where we eat.
I see.
Shathan, it's good to see you again.
My child wished to show me where she now lived.
I made food. Here, this cup. Made it myself.
And do you have powdered ginger for the table?
I'll go get some.
No, you're not supposed to... Dude, what is that question? Fuck off.
You are not good enough for my child.
I haven't heard any complaints.
You are emotionally sloppy and lack the resolve she needs. You will only bring her pain.
Or I could make Tosh happy.
It is not about happiness.
Then what is it about?
Teaching my child to survive in this world.
Tosh is an adult. If you haven't finished teaching by now...
I have failed, yes. I was never taught how to be a mother. Under the Qun, children are raised by those suited to such pursuits. I trained as a scholar. I was taught to think critically, to analyze without passion, and correct mistakes. You need not tell me that I am an inadequate mother. I am aware.
Then why did you leave?
When I see my child in danger, I act.
Here's the ginger.
It is clear that the whole ginger thing, just to answer Mutineer's stupid question, it is clear that the mother used the ginger as an excuse to send Tash away to talk with Rook. If you can't see that, you really need to get the fuck out of your house and walk around and make friends. I'm sorry. You really need to socialize. That's what I'll say. I won't imply that Mutineer has no friends, but I will say, holy shit, go and socialize. Go and find out more people and rub shoulders with them and see what sticks and what doesn't, and you'll pick up like a dozen things like that. There is nothing unrealistic about this dialogue. In fact, it is well written. Holy shit. I'm being unironic.
Thank you.
So, I'm non-binary.
Ah, okay, then I will correct myself about one thing. I will own my mistake, which I did say I'm not sure, by the way. She does come out as non-binary, doesn't straight up say, I feel like a man or something like that. Okay, fair enough, fair game there, but that changes nothing, unfortunately, for Mutineer.
What does that mean?
It means I don't feel like a man or a woman.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
Non-binary. I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't!
Under the Qun, the term for one whose gender does not match the one given to them at birth was a Qunathlok. Perhaps you are like that.
Why do you have to keep picking at it? Why can't you just be happy for me?
Evatosh, chakra to...
The mother within her knowledge and disposition is trying to be accommodating. That's how she sees it, I'm pretty sure. She's trying to reason with the fact. What she's doing right now is she's trying to reason, to negotiate with the situation in her head. And she's externalizing that. Like, oh, in my village, that was called Sabuhalu or whatever. Maybe you are that? Is that, like, is this it? You know, and of course she's angry, you can tell, because to a logical mind, especially a Kunari mind that is like trained to you know, to the points of brainwashing, she's now facing like her own mind-blowing facts, you know. She's trying to reason with it and put it in a box the shape of which she understands and recognizes it. But her daughter is like, it's not that. The bad writing here is obvious. It's a very cliche coming out. The kind of coming out that you would expect from like a 90s show where they want to depict it as... It is cringy. It is cringy, I will say that for sure. There is no defending that. I got second-hand embarrassment from this dialogue. Bad job at this. Yeah, it can happen. Obviously, you know. There have been moments with relatives where the tensions were like that. Uncomfortable memories for me. I've had relatives react like the mother is reacting, and I wasn't dismissive the way that Tash is, but I understand it. I wasn't like, leave it alone, this is it, leave it alone. I was like, no, it's not what you're saying, it's what I'm saying. If you can't understand it, then fuck this conversation. If you really don't want to understand it, then fuck this conversation. These are words that like have come out of my mouth. As cringe as the scene is, it is also realistic. Like, it can happen like that. But it feels, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like I'm watching some kind of 90s soap, it's not good. The vibes are not good. There's something very mechanical about the conversation. I'm not sure what. Maybe the voice acting is kind of weird. I don't know. There's something very mechanical about it, very artificial. It could appear as artificial because as times have moved on, people have found better and more diverse ways of coming out. Smarter, funnier, more friendly towards, the people it concerns. And perhaps then this very vanilla way appears cringe. Point being, it's cringe. Either way, explaining it doesn't help. It's still cringe. I still get secondhand embarrassment from this scene. Oof. It's bad. This is bad writing. I don't know. There's something, a stiffness in the dialogue. Let's go on.
Webra.
So I'm supposed to struggle with who I am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong?
No, you misunderstood.
Then say it better! Why am I never enough for you?
I will go. Thank you for inviting me to your home. Panahedan.
The options you're given as Rook are only to be supportive of Tosh and not in any way to try to explain that Shathan was actually right in what she was saying, not to mention that she was in fact accepting and trying to understand her child. If until now you weren't convinced that the trans representation in VeilGuard is someone's self-insert personal fantasy, or some strange attempt at working through their own trauma, here is a perfect scene encapsulating this problem. Shathan is a logical and well-meaning.
So there is nothing wrong with if I was to write a book, okay, if in that book I had, for example, a trans character, and I had them go through a bit of drama like this, I would inadvertently insert some of my experiences into it. You can't escape that. You really can't escape that. And sometimes, yeah, it can be a conduit for your own, coming to terms, yeah, with the situation. There's nothing wrong with that as long as it's well written and makes sense and there's like cohesion and consistency and, you're good at writing, in general is what I'm trying to say. So finger pointing and going saying, oh, you have trauma and you put this in the game just to work out on your trauma. Like, dude, you are literally toxic right now. This guy right now is literally toxic. What's wrong with using your own experience and putting it in the game? Like, what the fuck? Does it matter where it came from? It's a situation that can exist, that does exist. Anyway,
person who is somehow written extremely well despite the rest of the dialogue, actually fitting the style that I associate with Dragon Age. I get whiplash whenever Tosh speaks because Shathan talks absolutely normally and in a way that actually fits Thedas, and then Tosh is a slap to the face. Did two completely different writers write Shathan and Tosh's lines?
I agree with that.
The scene feels even...
That's fair point. The writing is all over the place, yeah, true. But aside from the stiffness of the scene and it feeling a bit forced because of how badly it's written, feeling like badly executed, badly voice acted, I don't know, there's something about it that doesn't sit well with me. But yeah, other than that, I don't really see anything bad when it comes to representation. Yeah, I mean, Tash is literally just an angsty teenager. I've told you before. Like, all this is like the coming out, the opening up to the group and then to her mother it happens like rapidly. It is, yeah, it's something that would cause turmoil in a person that is already emotional and shaky. So she's already positioned Tash, that is, very defensively. She's put herself in a very defensive position, does not relate to her mother at all, to her mother's position. So when she feels like she's pushed way too far, there is that outburst. And I will tell you this, that outburst is well acted. I wish the scene started with the same tones so that it was consistent. But like this part here, this shit here, with this shit here, it's like so different, you know? Like this in particular, like this whole thing. This is all one tone, and then
Is not
If you haven't...
and then this is normal, it's fine, whatever. And then they start talking.
If you are neither a man nor a woman, then what are you?
So that felt very unnatural as a dialogue to me, but anyway, moving.
Non-binary. I just said.
So
and
they're
I'm
having
going
this
to use
dialogue in
they
this
instead of
tone?
she from now on.
If this is because I have criticized your dress or your manners...
It isn't.
The mother is trying to take responsibility. That is something that your parents will do. They will be like, if this is because it is realistic.
Under the Qun, the term for one whose gender does
She's trying to
not
reason.
match the one given to them at birth was a Qunathlok. Perhaps you are like that.
Why do you have to keep picking at it? Why can't you just be happy for me?
The expectation of Tash is that her mother is going to celebrate the coming out with her. It is a fair assumption if you have high hopes.
Tash, Chakra to Ebra.
So I'm supposed to struggle with who I...
I have no idea what that meant. If I knew what that meant, I would be able to tell you more about it. But then now this is good in terms of acting.
am? Even if I don't feel like I fit, even if I feel wrong?
No,
Like, you can sense the emotion there.
you misunderstood.
Then say it better!
Why am I never enough for you?
This and the change in tone clearly indicates that there is more. Wait, let me ban this fucking bot. Jesus fucking Christ. Dude, my stream isn't even big enough. Just get the fuck out of here with your stupid bots. Wait, was that the name? You know what? It doesn't matter. I hope it got moderated. Okay. Whatever. Let's go on. So this here shows that, like, even they realize that there is something underlying. Like, in this moment, it's like, damn, there is a bigger issue underneath, which is like that they feel that they're not enough. They feel that their mother feels that they're not enough, which is an underlying issue. Hence why I don't mind the change of tone back to calm, because it's like, oh my god, there is also this, like, why am I not enough? You know, there's that mixed with disappointment and all that. Because a moment ago she was angry at another matter.
I will go. Thank you for inviting me.
This is the worst reaction you can have as a parent. And in general. This is stonewalling. This is literally stonewalling. Like, okay, I'll go.
To your home, Panahedan.
The options you're given.
But what I was trying to point out with this was literally, okay, why does it start in one tone and then immediately have this like transition to much better acting? It's jarring. That's what I'm trying to say. Like on a technical standpoint, I'm not criticizing anything else. On a technical standpoint, it's jarring, and as a result, the scene is horrible. I told you, like, I do agree with Mutineer. The writing is just bad. But yeah, let's go on.
As Rook are only to be supportive of Tosh and not in any way to try to explain that Shathan was actually right in what she was saying, not to mention that she was in fact accepting and trying to understand her child. If until now you weren't convinced that the trans representation in VeilGuard is someone's self-insert personal fantasy, or some strange attempt at working through their own trauma, here is a perfect scene encapsulating this problem. Shathan is a logical and well-meaning person who is somehow written extremely well despite the rest of the dialogue, actually fitting the style that I associate with Dragon Age. I get whiplash whenever Tosh speaks because Shathan talks absolutely normally and in a way that actually fits Thedas, and then Tosh is a slap to the face. Did two completely different writers write Shathan and Tosh's lines? I swear this scene feels even more like that Exquisite Corpse game, but instead it's just one person writing one character and another person writing the other character without ever knowing what that other character said in response. Shathan explains her own shortcomings as a mother, talking about how in the Qun there are people trained as caretakers who raise children, and she herself
but she doesn't explain that in relation to representation. Nor does she explain that to Tash. Therefore, it doesn't matter.
Scholar instead, so did not have so much knowledge and skills to be a good caretaker. She knows she fails as a parent, but tries to make up for it regardless. Not only is Shathan accepting, but she is also genuinely trying to understand Tosh and make them feel more like they belong.
That is stretching it. That is stretching it. She's not accepting per se. She does try to understand in the sense of reasoning it. She's not trying to understand genuinely. She's trying to reason with it without letting it be something that she feels like shouldn't be the case. The difference is very small, but it's also huge. It's difficult to catch, but no, the mother is not being exactly accepting. She's trying to put it in a box that she recognizes, as I said. She's trying to label it. I guess you can say it's trying to understand, because it can be genuine, of course, from a person who's just not equipped to understand it yet. But to say that she's accepting, soothing, understanding, this, that, whatever else Mutineer here is saying, that is stretching it. Like, that is idealizing it so much. There is tension from the mother as well. Anyway.
Their mother literally explains the word for transgender individuals, which includes non-binary identities, that is lore-friendly and comes from the Kunari society, Akun Athlok, meaning someone whose gender does not match the one assigned to them at birth. And then Tosh gets upset that Shathan understands exactly what they're talking about. Shathan isn't picking
wait a
at
minute, yes, she does get upset, and yes, she has a right to, because the mother is thinking in binary, woman or man, but Tosh is neither. She said so. They said so. The way that the mother also says it, from the perspective of Tash, who, again, mind their emotional situation, can sound like you can't be what you're saying, but you can be what I'm saying. So she might be reacting... Tash might be reacting to that. The intentions may be good, but it's clumsy, and the bad writing doesn't help it.
She is simply trying to offer her child reassurance that this identity they're talking about does exist and they're not alone in it. But Tosh goes absolutely ballistic, yelling at their mother and asking, "Why am I never enough for you?" When literally the mother does not imply such a thing, and even more so implies that she herself has not been enough.
The mother can be viewed as like, not considering Tash enough by Tash. Because what Tash is thinking, I would bet, is something like, why can't you accept that I am what I say I am, which is they, them, non-binary, and not all that mumbo-jumbo that you're just talking about, which is like male or female, or those who don't feel in their body, or whatever. Like, what is all this dog shit? Just, I'm they, them. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Just let me be that. So from that perspective, you can understand her outrage. Because what she's saying is like, why can't you just let me be what I am? You know? Which Tash seems to believe is not enough, because it's not within a box that the mother recognizes it. And actually, that can be right. Unironically, that might be right. So, I will say it's a cringy scene. I will say, yeah, it's a bad scene, yeah. Unlike the previous one. But, Jesus Christ, Mutineer. You seem like you have a personal grudge against Tash, which is a character in a game. Making me defend Tash as if it's a real person. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate you, dude. But I will continue doing it because it's fun. In the sense of like, we're examining things, you know? And that's interesting to look into things in depth. So, yeah. Think about it that way for a bit, and the scene might make sense. But again, the direction is weird, and then open to interpretation, because as you can see, for example, Mutineer just immediately interpreted one way, I interpreted another way. That's fine. That's fine, actually. That's fine. Having everything served on a platter, narratively, sorry, isn't always the best.
For Tash as a mother. Shokra to Ebra means through struggle you find what you are. Shathan is trying to say within her own words that struggling is a natural part of life that allows you to understand who you are better. It makes perfect sense, and yet Tash gets angry.
Yes, Mutineer. We know that it makes perfect sense, darling. We talked about it in the previous stream of mine, where you were saying the opposite. And now you're saying the opposite.
Angry and assumes their mother means to tell them to continue suffering or something. I'm sorry, if Tash was a teenager, this conversation would make sense, as teenagers are often prone to exaggerating and also have that rebellious thing of needing to disagree with everything their parents say. But as an adult, and especially as a character who is supposed to be reliable enough for you to recruit as part of fighting against the blinded Evanurus...
Listen. This whole adult thing doesn't hold water. You can see people in this situation. So here's how maturity works. Kind of, like very roughly, okay? This is like very, very roughly, okay? You don't level up linearly, and the higher your level, like let's say that I become mature in terms of like taking responsibilities of working and all that. That doesn't make me a mature person when it comes to emotional matters. I'm level 0 in that. And as age passed, you know, as time passes, as you age, you can still be mature about a few things. You can still be a child in some regards. Childish in some regards even. Yeah? So, even if you told me that like Tash was in her 30s, it's obvious that this is a matter that she just picked up. Just opening up to it. In that regard, concerning this matter, she might as well just be a child. For all she understands, they understand, I guess, and all they know. And their mother, just the same. Might be a scholar, might be 50, might be 60 years old, but in that regard, they haven't the knowledge, or they're not equipped to deal with it, resulting in essentially being the equivalent of like a child in that regard. That's how maturity works. It doesn't, like, the fact that you reach 30 years old and have a job doesn't make you a mature adult in some manner, you know, across. It's not a level up where all your stats are now better. Okay? You have to understand that. So that is like a very archaic and fucking dated perspective here from Mutineer. I'm sorry, it's such a dated perspective. Uh, the fact that Tash was chosen for the group. Let's not talk about the group, first of all, because none of these assholes strikes me as any kind of guiding figure. I ain't gonna lie, okay? Unlike the Inquisitor, for example, or even the Warden, um, or other characters in those games that were actually great as examples of parenting, both bad and good. Um, every member of this cast is a fucking moron. So yeah, it doesn't tell me anything that Tash was selected for this group, because he was literally selected for this group because he can swing an axe very violently and cause a lot of damage. That's the criteria. She's a beast hunter, a dragon hunter. That's what they've chosen. The fact that she is a dragon hunter does not mean that she's mature in all ways ever. Mutineer, what the fuck, my dude? Anyway.
Makes no sense for Tosh to be this emotionally immature or unintelligent. I am completely baffled at how this scene is framed, making the player be extremely uncharitable towards Shathan, despite her remarks being nothing but reasonable and well-meaning.
No, Sathan's remarks aren't reasonable 100%. She's also struggling, by the way. She's also not mature about it, which makes sense. You're a parent as many times as you have a child. Okay? It's not something you grind XP for. And that child, that little hellspawn you're gonna spawn out of your womb, or adopt, is going to be a unique, different individual, and they're going to present their own challenges which you might not have faced before. Therefore, you might have zero experience on it. It's Mutineer, my dude. Let's go on.
Actual trans people who have had negative experiences with coming out, and they will tell you they wish their own parents or other people in their lives reacted like this. I certainly do.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. No, I wouldn't want my parents to react the way Tasha's mother reacted. No, my mother reacted worse. Okay, but that's not the point. She reacted worse when it comes to tone and vocabulary and other things and yelling and all that. But this trying to reason, this trying to put into a mold, this trying to, it's almost the same.
Emotionally immature or unintelligent. I am completely baffled at how this scene is framed, making the player be extremely uncharitable towards Shathan, despite her remarks being nothing but reasonable and well-meaning.
I will accept this one bit of criticism where you can't contest. But that's bad writing, not bad representation. Again, it's bad writing, not bad representation. Or rather, it has nothing to do with representation, to put it more accurately. So, yeah.
Ask actual trans people who have had negative experiences with coming out, and they will tell you they wish their own parents or other people in their lives reacted like this. I certainly do. Finally, let's talk about the infamous Barv scene. I'm so sorry, Isabella, they butchered your character entirely. I don't want to get into Isabella's outfit and the
You're gonna have to excuse me because this seems like to be the big one. I'll be right back. I'm gonna dig into it. Give me 5. Hey, Weirdewin. Hello there. General Weirdewinobi. How are you doing? Your cat is being terribly distracting, so you missed half of what you said. That's fine. That's interesting. How did you miss half of what I said? How do you know what kind of metric that is? Have you been here the whole time but couldn't actually interact, or what do you mean? And also, how are you? Hope you're doing fine. Cats are amazing. Oh, what you did here was very informative. Ah, I see. Interesting. Yeah, no worries. It's gonna be up on YouTube anyways. All of the parts of this are going to be up on YouTube. And I dare say all of it has been very interesting. It gave me a lot to talk about, honestly. But that prompts me to say as well that by no means am I defending Dragon Age VeilGuard as a whole. We have to understand that I'm talking about it from the perspective of 3 scenes, essentially, and that's all. So I think this mostly falls under the scenario where even a broken clock is going to show the right time twice a day, which is to say, in case I need to explain it, it's to say that even though it's not a good game and I don't consider it well written, these particular scenes in regards to representation and writing, in the case of one of them at least, well, 2 of them, I guess, it's fine. It's actually fine, and it feels like there was some... It's even more untapped potential that we'll never see realized now because the game is out, obviously. It's not a beta or something, so that's gone. That's done and gone. And honestly, every time a game just fails so hard, and it's a game where there is representation, I cringe because I know for a fact that like people are going to correlate representation with the game's failure, which is disingenuous. It's not honest. Let's be real. So I do cringe about it every time. And yeah, let's just go on. Let's just see what this last bit is. Tasha's notes. All right, that's interesting. And then we have to BioWare. Oh my god, I might not even watch this because I already dislike the individual's opinions, and therefore I don't want to fill my brain with more of it. But I will definitely see Tasha's notes on this because it seems to be informative. If we see through, or at least if I see through, this guy's personal biased opinions. They are very biased. Holy shit. Anyway, going on.
Inflated breasts, or the way she as a character would never put herself in the center of attention for making a mistake. Let's just, or the butchered your character entirely. I don't want to get into Isabella's outfit and deflated breasts, or the way she as a character would never...
Dude, can you leave people's breasts alone? Can you just fucking leave people's appearance alone? We're not here to discuss what your personal fetishes are. Just leave people's outfits alone. We're discussing representation, I thought, not your personal take on someone's wardrobe. And as someone who personally refused to have implants, and I just let my my 2 beautiful babies grow naturally, I feel insulted for calling someone who is, you know, of grounded proportions, calling them flat-chested or whatever. Like, holy shit, dude. You know, fucking shut the fuck up about it. If you don't like somebody's boobs, you can go find another somebody to fap to. You don't need to fucking try to shoehorn everything into your personal, like, you know, kink list. That's all I'm gonna say about it, because it's becoming a little bit obnoxious at this point from Mutineer here. Yeah, you don't have to like everyone's body type. they're not there for you to like them. They're there because they're whatever characters. So just chill, I guess. And drop the whole asexual thing, because somebody who is so fucking focused on body, body proportions. This whole asexual take isn't flying. I don't think it's flying anymore. Like, stop focusing on boobs.
Or put herself in the center of attention for making a mistake. Let's just not open that can of worms. Let's just focus on the misgendering, apology, and then completely unnecessary push-ups. In this scene, Isabella tells a story from Tasha's past and accidentally uses the pronoun she instead of they. This is fine. It happens sometimes, especially when you've just recently found out that someone is trans and you adjust to using the new pronouns. Balara gets a bit awkward, then Isabella realizes her own mistake and says, "Ah shit, they're still holding it. Sorry." That should have been the end of it. Isabella corrects herself, apologizes, and moves on. That is the correct way to act if you accidentally misgender someone. Apologize, correct yourself, move on. What Isabella does in this scene is the most confusing, self-flagellating, narcissistic thing I've ever seen, and I have no idea why anyone in their right mind would write a scene like this unless they were actually trying to make fun of trans people. Instead of stopping there, Isabella goes on to walk over to a stage where there is enough space and starts to do push-ups. Tosh is eerily silent, even though they are the person who has been misgendered. Instead of Tosh discussing the situation with Isabella, if for some reason you needed there to be a longer discussion, Balara asks Isabella why she's doing push-ups. Isabella explains some bullshit story about a fellow lord.
Hey, you can't call the story bullshit because it's part of the story. So, 2 takes on this one, alright? Subjective me wants to say that this is unnecessary. It is a form of self-flagellation indeed. I would never go this far. So that is weird. Like, if I was there, I would ask the person to fucking stop because it's awkward, obviously. But the story part. So, I wanted to let Isabella finish saying what she's saying, and form an opinion, not based on what Mutineer is saying, but what Isabella is saying. That's what's important to me. And for that reason, I'm going to mute and let it play out from the start here, and read the story. So she makes the mistake here. All right. Tash questions it, which is reasonable. She says, pulling a barv. Tash doesn't know what barv is and doesn't want to insult or, misstep, so goes like, oh, okay, fine so far. She asks because she's the type. Isabella responds with tradition in the Lords of Fortune, which is a prominent organization. And she says, from one of our old members, Barv. Alright. Somebody who fucked up a lot, apparently. But who was well-meaning. So this sentence makes a lot of sense. Yeah, this is true. This is very true. And the fact that there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies, also very true. Okay, where is this going? So when one of us screws up, and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. But a quick 10 would be longer than apologizing. So yeah, this is a bit weird and theatrical in the sense of like, you don't need to apologize that much. Like, I can accept that if the slight was huge, right, or repeated, and it was a huge, like, problem, then this system might make sense for a pirate like Isabella, who belongs to a pirate organization with pirate buddies, from a pirate guy that pirated this and that. Yeah, it makes sense. The slight isn't that big though. So why are you doing push-ups? Why not just apologize, alright? Fair enough, fair question. Yeah, I can see that, but at the same time, that's weird. You sweat a little and makes you think about it. I can see that. Shows the other person you mean it. Because you put action behind the word. And you're going the extra mile, and then that makes you think as well. And it makes the other person, yeah, okay. Unnecessary for this scale, but for a larger scale, then... They make it about them. Oh, you know, I didn't mean it. I never do that on purpose. They feel so bad. That it's on everyone else to smooth it over and make them feel better. Yeah, this is literally what Isabella is saying. That the push-ups equate a physical reminder. Yeah. If so, should be stated somehow. It is stated after asking, after the elf girl asks her, what the fuck is a barb? And then she explains. If the girl didn't ask, it would be triple awkward, because you would just see a person doing push-ups and you would be like, what? What is going on? You would be afraid to ask. You would be like, what is that? You know, some kind of tradition or something. Anyway, but yeah, I get it. So some people, okay, this is very presumptuous from Isabella, because yes, there are people who will try to mask something as an apology, in the sense of like, oh, did I offend you? But you know, I've been offended too. That is like not an apology. Or saying, oh, I understand how you feel. That's also not an apology. I think that's what Isabella is trying to allude to, like circumstances like those. But that's not the case here. This is a very clear-cut case where you have to apologize, but also you have to accept the other person accepting the apology, obviously, and leaving it there. That would take less time than doing push-ups. Now, if you did this 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, I understand. But, yeah. Let's see what else he says about this. They made a mess, they fixed it. Yeah. Like, technically, it's fair enough, technically. But you have to, you know, the punishment has to be equal to the crime. Right? Just once saying she, her instead of they, them, like, come on. Just once? And yeah, the answer here is very pedantic. Oh, it's not about, I would assume, that it's not about the effort as in a physical sense, but the fact that you have to get out of the chair, you have to sit down somewhere where it might be awkward to do. There is a lot of things involved in there. It's not necessarily the physical effort, though that might play a part in it. I will assume it's a lot more than that. It's about putting yourself in that position more than you're doing the effort. Physically doing the effort. You're doing the effort emotionally and mentally mostly. You have to get out of your chair, get down on the ground, and start doing that in front of people as well. It's a lot of things. It's not as easy as you would think. Imagine if you were sitting next to your friend at a cafe or something, or at a bar, or at a club, or a tavern, and you insulted them without like realizing, and they tell you, and you're like, sorry. And then you just immediately get out of the chair, and in front of everyone, now you have to do push-ups. That would kind of like stick with you. You know, that would stick with you, because people would look at you. You would have to put your hands on the ground. You would, you know, that kind of thing. It reminded me of a woman that believed she could say anything offensive and it was okay as long as she apologized. Yeah, there is also that. There is also that. A lot of people, I mean, sometimes people say no offense, but blah blah, right? If you know you're gonna offend me, why are you starting with no offense? Like, why are you even saying it that way? Find a better way to put it. Also, sometimes, you know, at the same time, sometimes you can't help it. It's like, you know you're gonna say something that might hit heavy. But in those cases, just say so. Just say, hey, this might be a hot take, but here's what I believe. Instead of saying no offense, for example, because if you feel like it's gonna offend, why are you saying it? It might not offend. It might not even offend at all. But like, if you think it can offend, why are you saying it? Just change the way you want to say the thing you want to say and say that. And maybe add something like, oh, this might be a hot take, I don't fucking know, but to my experience. Like, one of my favorite expressions is like, to my experience. Like, as far as I know, you know, as far as I, you know, I've lived for 30 years, 40 years, 30 consciously, because, you know, baby. This is my experience, according to that experience, so to my experience, this and that and that and that, you know? Can be offensive, can be not offensive, who the fuck knows, but to my experience, this is what I believe. End of story, you know? And you avoid all this no offense but kind of thing. No offense, I won't offend you. Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that in some cases. I can definitely see that. I mean, as I already said, it's like for a few people, no offense, quote, means like free pass to offend. Yeah, to me the best is to my experience. That is the best, honestly, because there is, because you're safe, like you're playing safe, like that. You're playing safe, very safe. You might offend, but you don't know better. You might not offend, in which case GG's, you know. Give me a sec. All right, back. Anyway, now I want to hear this with a commentary, though, because what I'm commenting on is the commentary, actually.
She instead of they. This is fine. It happens sometimes, especially when you've just recently found out that someone is trans and you adjust to using the new pronouns. Balara gets a bit awkward, then Isabella realizes her own mistake and says, ah shit, they're still holding it. Sorry. That should have been the end of it. Isabella corrects herself, apologizes, and moves on. That is the correct way to act if you accidentally misgender someone. Apologize, correct yourself, move on. What Isabella does in this scene is the most confusing, self-flagellating, narcissistic thing I've ever seen, and I have no idea why anyone in their right mind would write a scene like this unless they were actually trying to make fun of trans people. Instead of stopping there, Isabella goes on to walk.
I don't find it narcissistic, and I don't think that Isabella is trying to make it about herself. I think it's honest. I think it's genuine. But the rest, yeah, sure. And yeah, it's a very cringy scene. I will agree. Again, nothing to do with representation. It's just, what the fuck is going on? What am I watching?
Walk over to a stage where there is enough space and starts to do push-ups. Tosh is eerily silent, even though they are the person who has been misgendered. Instead of Tosh discussing the situation with Isabella, if for some reason you needed there to be a longer discussion, Balara asks Isabella why she's doing push-ups. Isabella explains some bullshit story about a fellow Lord of Fortune, Barv, who often said the wrong thing and then instead of apologizing felt the need to do push-ups to show that he truly meant his apology, because doing 10 push-ups is apparently easier than a long drawn-out apology. But you need to understand, I cannot stress this enough. Misgendering someone by accident is not a situation that requires a long drawn-out apology. Please don't do that. You'll only make the person uncomfortable, not to mention make the whole thing about you instead of them. Not only does she say this absolutely nonsensical thing about Barv that no one other than an extreme narcissist would do in real life, but then she goes on to explain to Rook and Balara that people can't...
Why would an extreme narcissist do that? I've never experienced that as someone who grew up with two confirmed, like, diagnosed literal fucking narcissist parents, like NPD, like literally diagnosed. Like my father had to go to therapy, like that kind of literally diagnosed. That is not part of it. Of course, every person is different, but I don't remember, to the best of my knowledge, any correlation between what Isabella is doing and narcissism. She's explaining the story to the elf girl, and that's about it, because she was asked. Before she was asked, she didn't elaborate. Weird.
Can't just apologize because they don't really mean that they're sorry. Isabella says, sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it, but they just want to get the whole thing over with. Why, yes, when you make a small mistake, the point is to get the whole thing over with and move on. Why the hell would you want to make a big deal out of a tiny accident? If this happened to me in real life, if someone accidentally used the wrong pronoun when referring to me, and then they either started apologizing and saying, oh no, I'm so sorry, I'm the worst person ever, how could I make such a mistake, this is the worst thing I've ever done. Or if they actually did 10 push-ups as an apology for misgendering me, I would be mortified. I would want the...
Okay, so that depends on the person completely. What Mutineer is saying is very personal. I personally like it when the apology is a little bit more nuanced. Not too much, measured, but still nuanced. It shows to me that the other person actually means it. But also depends on the body language and facial expressions. Like if I'm satisfied by the whole mix, I'm fine. If it's like, sorry, I'm not fine. If it's like, let me tell you a story from my past about how misgendering is just not appropriate in my village. You know, I start being pompous and shit and like just going on, and then the conclusion of the story is that they're awesome and like, yeah, of course, then something is wrong. I don't see either here. Although, again, it's very dramatic to just start taking push-ups. Narcissistic, though? I don't know. Like, when I apologize to someone, wait, I will respond to all of that, but let me finish. And so, but I will finish first. You're not holding me back, don't worry. But like, when I apologize, I'm like, oh, yeah, I kind of fucked up on this one. My bad, I didn't mean it. You know, I hate it when others do it, so I hate when I do it. That's my apology usually. Because I want to show the person that like, I empathize and I feel stupid for what I did. And that's it. It's usually enough. Actually, it's always enough. So it's more nuanced than saying oops or sorry. You don't know much about the character. Is he generally over-exuberant in her actions? Is this a typical reaction? Isabella is quite exotic. Especially in Dragon Age 2. She's quite exotic. So I can see her pulling something like that off. We also don't know what she's been up to or how she's changed since Dragon Age 2, because there is little mention in Inquisition, and I don't know what she's been through. She's very impulsive. She caused the whole fuck up in Dragon Age 2 by stealing a certain item and not returning it, and then, you know, it turns into a huge drama that causes like a riot in a city as well, and, you know, stuff like that. So I don't know what's beyond her and what not, or how she's changed ever since joining the Lords of Fortune. So who the fuck knows, quite honestly. I would have to actually play the game, like all of it, and experience it like from my perspective to be able to tell you if she would do that. And her hat is bad. And I think what makes it bad is like this thing here and these feathers. I don't know why she would have that. They should have gone for the Pirates of the Caribbean look. What the fuck, that place? They should have given her like some ornaments, some hair ornaments perhaps, some extra stuff on the hat that doesn't look so clean. This can be a stolen admiral's hat, so a bit of like fluff here, tuft, wouldn't be completely out of place, I guess, but the feathers. Then again, Dragon Age is pretty flamboyant. So I suspect if it's a stolen hat, which I suspect it is, it might as well be flamboyant, right? But I don't like it either. But that's because I just don't like that style. And I don't like hats. I find hats very goofy in general. Face masks and helmets and closed face helmets, yeah, but like hats in general I think are goofy. It did stay on while she was doing push-ups, which, to be honest, let me check that out a little bit.
Misgendered. Instead of Tosh discussing the situation with Isabella, if for some reason you needed there to be a...
No, I don't notice anything weird. Let's not forget that there will be enough friction here for it not to slide off. I also have to assume that it sits in such a way that like a bit of wind in the sea wouldn't knock it off. And the rate at which she's doing the push-ups and the angle of her head...
Longer discussion. Balara asks Isabella why she's doing push-ups.
Looks
Isabella
kind of
explains some
okay,
bullshit story about a
but then it dips into the floor.
fellow Lord of Fortune, Barv, who often said the wrong...
If you caught it, it just clipped into the floor. It could even be pinned to the scarf.
thing, and then instead
Because he's wearing something like a cap or a scarf under it.
of apologizing, felt the need to do push-ups to show that he truly meant his apology, because doing 10 push-ups is apparently easier than...
It is obviously a scarf, so the hat might be even pinned on that thing. No joke. Who the fuck knows? She's very proud of that hat, I'm pretty sure, without even, you know, having literally played the game. I've watched the game, but these details, I just wasn't too interested. The way I watched this game was mostly in bed, just taking a look, letting it play, you know, watching a couple of hours, then like falling asleep a little bit, then waking up to like another scene, watching a couple of hours. That's how it was. It's a long game anyway.
than a long drawn-out apology. But you need to understand, I cannot stress this enough. Misgendering someone draws so much attention to the misgendering. Do you think a trans person wants this to be a huge topic that is discussed for a long time or made to be so important? I guarantee you, the moment you hear that wrong pronoun, you want to hide somewhere out of embarrassment or dysphoria. You do not want to be reminded for the next few minutes as the person makes a long drawn-out apology that you are trans, that your identity is something that people have to remember, that is not always what comes.
Again, Mutineer here, he's assuming way too much. Like, I personally, so to give a point here, make a point, I personally actually would like the person to apologize without hiding, you know. I would prefer that, actually. When somebody misgenders me, I don't want to hide or something. In fact, I make a fucking scene out of it. In the sense of, don't hate me immediately, let me explain. My father, for example, loves to misgender me, which is on purpose. So, but that doesn't matter, it could have been a mistake, right? It's on purpose, of course, but that's, I know for my own reasons, let's leave it at that. Just take my word for it. So whenever he does that, I very loudly go like, she is what you mean, isn't it? Like, I go like that. Like, I fight it. I fucking fight. I'm like, she. There's no he here. There's no one. There's no male here. You're talking with your daughter. It's she. And he tries to dismiss it, and go like, oh yeah, whatever, you know. And I'm like, oh no, it's not whatever. It's very important to me. And I say it loud. I'm like, yeah, it's very important to me. It's not whatever. And if he misgenders me 5 times, which has happened, I will do this 5 times. I will literally stop the conversation, even if I'm interested in it, which is rare. I will stop the conversation. I will make it a point until he decides that it's just not worth the extra time that it takes me to correct him. And then he stops doing it. However, on the other hand, if I don't do that, he will keep doing it until we part ways again. He will do it 10 times in a row if I let it go. I've tried, I've tested it. So, yes, we're not all the same. Dear Mutineer, we're not all the same. I know it's a shock. Going by everything that I've seen through this video, this revelation might be apocalyptic for Mutineer, but people are different and we react in different ways. So, yeah. Jesus Christ. So, again, like fucking socialize, dude. I don't fucking know what you gotta do to fix it, but go and fix it. Yeah, he's trying to, like, throughout the video, everything, like 90% of the video is illegitimate criticism that is targeted at parts that have nothing to do with representing trans people in a game. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. And most of his opinions are literally fucking way too specific. I'm gonna say that because I don't want to go into specifics, unironically. But when he talks about himself, it makes a few things clear. I definitely don't believe that all people who characterize themselves as Mutineer does are the same as Mutineer. I don't think that. But this particular person is, at this point, I consider them completely obnoxious. And I'm pretty sure that if he met me, he would think that I'm an obnoxious, pretentious slut. So it is a complete disconnect, and that's also what makes this interesting. It's exactly what I said like yesterday when I started the first half of the video, where I said that like this is gonna be interesting because it's a trans girl critiquing the critique of a trans guy. And it's gonna be interesting to see where opinions are gonna collide and where experiences are gonna collide. And that's literally 90% of the video. It's amazing. Let's go on.
To them naturally to refer to you as. What Isabella does in the scene goes against everything that a normal trans person will tell you. I must ask, who the hell wrote this scene? 1. Please check that you are not transphobic, because this scene reads more like someone making fun of trans people being overly sensitive.
And again, see, like, listen, Tash is, okay, Mutineer, look. By your standards, I am transphobic. And a slut. And obnoxious. And cringe. It's mutual, baby. I feel just the same for you. So don't feel bad. But you're a fucking moron. Let's go on.
And thus requiring such huge apologies. 2. Please check that you do not have a narcissistic personality disorder, because Isabella just made this whole thing about herself to such an extent that I can't help but be concerned about the person who wrote her. 3. Even if you are progressive and aren't narcissistic, how could you possibly think this scene was acceptable to include? You know how people use the whole attack helicopter meme to insult trans people. You've literally just given them a new insult to hurl at us with a barv. I've already seen so many comments about pulling a barv. Why did you do that?
Huh? Listen, the people who the people who weaponize the barv are walking memes. Why are you concerning yourself with them? You are the one giving people ammunition by being so obnoxious. The attack helicopter meme is so American. So, you know what? I'm gonna share my opinion on this. Okay, I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna take it seriously. So, it is a huge leap of logic. Like, because it needs to be addressed at one point, right? And nobody fucking addresses it. It's a huge leap of logic, which is not backed by scientific facts, to say that you're an attack helicopter as in comparison to saying, I feel this or that. Because if we follow the same logic, it completely dismantles any sense of identity. On one hand, if you see it from their point of view, any sense of identity is meaningless because anyone can say there's something. If you see it on the other hand, there should only be one identity, and that's human. Both are yes and no. It is such a nonsense argument. But the point of it, like, I guess the simplified version is, yeah, claiming that you're a helicopter obviously is a hyperbole and is used hyperbolically. But it's such a bad example because nobody's claiming something outlandish or something that is, you know, just objectively impossible. So there is that huge difference there, which is why it's a bad example. Your gender identity does not extend beyond your human limitations. It is within the human being to be transgendered, for example. It is within our capacity, and it is possible and, well, factually proven that it is a thing. You know, scientifically proven that it is a thing. But you cannot be an attack helicopter no matter how hard you try, which means that the whole joke is something that someone would use if that someone was literally a moron, because they can understand the limitations of the two things and the human being. Like, you cannot be an attack helicopter, but you can identify as a female. Those are two completely different things. Also, female is a gender, helicopter is not a gender. Like, it is oranges and potatoes. Yeah, it's fucking oranges and, like, I don't know, meat. You can't put them in the same, like, you can't use them as examples. It's the most failed thing I've ever seen. And the irony about it is that, like, there is no other good example. Because what are you going to say? You're just going to turn around and insult someone by saying, oh, yeah, sure, you're going to tell me you feel like a woman next. And you're like, yeah, because that's possible. And you're an ignorant person for not knowing that in 2024. So the whole thing, I don't know what overcame me, and I wanted to seriously debate it. But hey, you know, I remembered it from way back when it was popular, and so I wanted to address it, I guess. It is so weird that people make that correlation of gender and helicopter. To me, is like mind-blowing. Like, how can you be so stupid? You want to make fun of trans people? At least, motherfucker, put some effort in there. Like, do something. I don't know. Impress me with some kind of, like, you know, toxicity that is, like, you know, top tier or something. But this is such a stupid fucking thing to say that it's like, whatever. Oh, God. And I like that some people are still unironically using it as well. It always just throws me off. I'm like, are you serious? Did you just say that? Like, did you just fucking say that? For real? Can't you be a normal idiot and just say, can you be a normal bigot? Do you have to be an extra bigot? Like, you know. An expression of excessive patriotism, violence, and distraction. Damn. You know what? There should be a metal band. Jesus fucking Christ, someone should do this. There should be a death metal or brutal metal band, doom metal even, alright? All trans, and should be called attack helicopters. I'm not even joking. That should be a thing. That should be a thing. And they should make songs about diversity and inclusion and fairness. And that would be amazing. Take what they're throwing at you and throw it back with style. Their stage names can be different models of attack helicopter. Yes. Yes. Motherfucking yes. Apache should be the fucking the lead singer. No joke. Damn. Anyway, yeah, jokes aside, I think I don't want to watch more of this video because honestly, this is as toxic as fucking people telling you identify as an attack helicopter. At this point, Jesus Christ, mutineer, mission failed, dude. Mission failed. Snake, no. Snake, no. Mission failed. I'm sorry. This proved nothing except that B-tier mutineer is just a dude on the internet, just like I am. But yeah, damn. Okay, that was horrible. Entertaining. Horrible. That was a horrible take, and it was cringy. God. I did love analyzing the this scene though. Where is it? I did love analyzing this scene. That bit here. This was perfect. I loved looking into the characters' situations and, like, you know, putting myself there, seeing it from their perspective. It was interesting. It's a good exercise. But then again, this is the internet, right? Where for example, earlier today, I somehow one of Rantom's videos popped up in my feed. You know who Rantom is? It's that like Shaolin reject dude that like talks super fast and is like super fucking hyped all the time and like really on fucking LSD or something at this point. Like he's uncomfortably energetic. You know the guy, for real. And the video popped up and it starts with, you know what? I don't want to self-reflect because, you know, you shouldn't do that. You're not that important. Just live your life. What? So when you have like videos like that, why am I surprised that like Mutineer here is having such an ill take about trans people and whatever else that he's criticizing, he thinks he's criticizing? Because he's really not criticizing what it says on the box. He's just going on and on and on about like his personal preference when it comes to boobs and dressing code and other shit like that. But yeah, random just popping up and I'm clicking on it and I'm like, why am I clicking on this shit, dude? And I'm clicking on it and it's like, yeah, don't self-reflect because like, yeah, you're not important. Yeah, my dude, yeah, don't fucking think about the consequences of your actions. Don't fuck philosophy, dude. Fuck philosophy, fuck everything that we've discovered through philosophy, fuck all of that. Just don't think and live your life. Wow. I want to say a kind of... there are some toxic comments I'm holding back because I don't want to sound like really, really nasty. But like, what an L take. What a fucking L take. Yeah. Anyway, Jesus Christ, I'm done with this. I'm so happy I'm fucking done with this video. Like, it can go fuck itself. I'm sorry. I went through it taking it seriously and it hurt. And now I'm just like fucking venting. Fuck this shit. 45 minutes of nothing but like, honestly, just bullshit that misses the point. And the contradictions were sweet. Like the self-contradictions were very sweet throughout. It was very interesting to point them out and like, you know... Oh god. I will level the same criticisms that he leveled on Dragon Age, and I will say that it felt like the script that he was following was written by 3 or 4 different people who weren't communicating together what they were trying to say as a whole, as a sum of things. Bless his soul, yeah, fuck it. Alright, quick BRB, much quicker than before. I need to get some water. And I will play something. and I think I want to. I'm not gonna spoil. I'll be right back. I'm back. Oddly, while a type of insult, an actual blessing of a soul is positive. So yeah, way to go, South. Yeah, it's like it's how the Japanese will usually say interesting when they want you to shut up because they think that what you're talking about is just horseshit. They will be like, interesting. I don't know if it's still a thing. It was a thing in the 2000, in the double lows to like 2010. Don't know if that's still a thing, but it used to be like, interesting. Yeah. In other words, shut the fuck up, nobody cares about your weird opinions. Source, my uncle who was lecturing at the university there and heading like an R&D department thingy. So maybe that circle of people used it that way. Like the academics and scientists don't know about the common folk, let's say. I think in English as well. Yeah, I ended up using it a lot as well. I'm a simple girl. Whenever I feel like that, I usually go like, I see. Something like that, or something, something like, hey, if it works for you, I guess. Stuff like that is what I say in those cases. If you say so is another one that I use often. Or, who am I to disagree with that? I love that one in particular. Like, hey, who am I to fucking disagree with that? Like, yeah, what do I know? Fuck it. I've been told that that's nice. That's nice. That is so simple and nice, though. Yeah, I'll use that. That's nice. Yeah, I've used nice before. But yeah, that's nice. This added the fact that it's two words. There's something about it. Oh god. Yeah, no, that's nice. Okay. It's the added word. That's nice. It's not just nice. There's something about it. I like it. I don't know why it's so amusing to me right now. But it is. Oh god. Okay. So let me see something on Discord. There we go. It's especially effective while smiling, but eyes are flat. Down. I don't think I have such mastery over my facial expressions. Like it's like I'm an easy person to read. I'm not gonna lie. The only time, like this is like such a fucking weird contradiction there, where online and through text, I can be very difficult to read, and a lot of people have, in the past have found it challenging to tell when I'm joking or when I'm sarcastic or when I'm passive aggressive or something, or rather they do mistake it as being passive aggressive and other stuff. But when I'm up close, I am very easy to read. Like I make an effort. I go the extra step to be easy to read in real life. I like being transparent. But in text, it is completely whatever. Yeah, up close. Like in person. Yeah, up close is weird. In person is the right thing. Hey, English is not my primary, okay? No bully. So what was I gonna do? I was gonna wait, do that, go here. Here come the spoilers. It's that time. I think it's that time, it might not be, but I think it is, where we're gonna play Dead Space. What? Battlefield Dead Space? What? What have you done? What have you done? And why? Either way, that's a spoiler. I mean, it could be something else as well, right? Could be Black Mesa. Rogue Point from the same guys who made Black Mesa. Huh. Interesting. Black Mesa, huh? Should I? Either that or Fear. Like Fear. Are you feeling like Fear? No bully, be happy, and thanks for your insight on VeilGuard and the person's commentary. Hey, thanks for watching it and enduring my take on it. I'll upload the whole thing on YouTube, all of the conversation around it. You caught like the last third of it, let's say. What to do until this finishes downloading, though? Probably nothing, just chill, I guess. Or play one round of Halls of Torment. That would be interesting. Should I? Maybe not. Maybe I should just chill. Because, yeah, Dead Space is gonna fuck me. It always fucks me. We'll see. Yeah, I think about VeilGuard, like without having played it myself. I think the intentions were good, but the execution was ugh. I don't know. I don't think it should have been a Dragon Age game. I was expecting for them to go back to the roots or something, to make it like Dragon Age Origins, or at least like, you know, Dragon Age 2. The visual style of VeilGuard would have worked with Dragon Age 2. It wouldn't have worked with Inquisition. Inquisition kind of like grows on you. It's an acquired taste. It's rough to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it's like you start appreciating it, I think. Dragon Age 1, like Origins, I think I can't play ever again. I don't think I can play that game ever again. It's huge. As a person, I support and believe in LBSD. Plus, as a writer, I may not always succeed, but I strive to make failures character flaws rather than my own. Yeah, true. Though again, I don't think there is anything wrong in particular with peppering a few of your own experiences here and there. If something affected you in your life, and you're a writer, inadvertently you're gonna include some of that. There's nothing wrong with it, I think, as long as it doesn't, you know, break cohesion or consistency, and it's well placed, or, you know, assigned to a proper character. The real question is, am I ready for Dead Space? That's the real question. Am I fucking ready for it? It's scary, it still scares me. I still fucking love it. It was either Dead Space or going back to Cyberpunk, which I'm not gonna do. Like, I don't think I have the strength. I'm a weak woman. Okay, I don't think I can take another round of Cyberpunk. Ah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna like die or something if I try it again. I think that's why I like TKA so much. It's only a few hours. I know it very well, but sometimes these creepy zombies still startle me. Yeah, true. It's like what I said back when I started it, where I said it gives me like combat. One of the first things I said was like combat in TKA has this quality in it, which is like Skyrim, where you can find the same bandits over and over. They're just bandits. You can fight them forever. And at least with the mods that I had, right? Because I'm not talking vanilla here. I'm talking like massively modded, all right? Fighting these bandits was always a delight. It was always fulfilling killing them. It was always interesting to see how they'll try to kill me. It was interesting. And TKA had that as well. It's just zombies, but you're never tired of killing them because of the way they die and the situations that you know They're very dynamic. They're very they react differently. You can fire at a zombie 50 million times and they're gonna like flail around differently, which is gonna change like everything about what's happening in that moment and how you have to react to it, for example. Damn, I miss Skyrim so much. You know what? When or if I get my new PC, I am so fucking starting over with Skyrim. I'm gonna mod the shit out of it. I'm starting over and I'm gonna enjoy the fuck out of it, for real. I miss it so much. I miss it immensely, honestly. I just miss it. Hellblade would also be cool. Fear would be cool to stream. Maybe I should do Fear, you know? You don't miss modding for 2 weeks? I don't mind it because it's been a year, 2 years, 3 years, I don't even know at this point. It's been a very long while, and I will also start over with the Anniversary Edition, whereas before I was using Special Edition. And this time I will also start with a collection of mods, which is going to be like 70% of the work already done. That's it. All I have to do is find like the small stuff that that won't be in the collection and just add those, and that's it. So I'm not really afraid of it, if that makes sense. This was such an amazing game. This was such an amazing game. You can't play it again. Like, for real, I love it, but once you know the plot twist, you can't play it again. But it was fucking amazing. It was fucking amazing. I could also try Elden Ring again, but I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I've had, like, Elden Ring just isn't for me. That is a fact. It is a fact through and through. It is just not for me. Doki Doki Literature Club, this one, I recommend it 1,000,000,000%. If you haven't played it, absolutely play it. Absolutely. Don't go for the remake, don't go for anything else, just go for the original, like this one, the one that I'm showing you right now. It was a very good game. Very good game. It really just surprised me so much. Do you think fear should be a thing? Do you think we should go for fear? Come on, fear was cool. Should I go for fear? It was cool. I haven't streamed it ever. There is no archive of me playing it. Maybe I should play Fear. Maybe Fear is where it's at. Well, 1 is unplayable at this point. I don't think I would play 1. I mean, maybe as well, who knows. I don't know, 1 might be too old. You don't? It's kind of cool. Should I do Fear, you think? Fuck. Should I start with 1? Could. And see how I feel about it. I don't think I would play Extraction Point or Perseus Mandate though. I felt like these were trashy, I'm not gonna lie. And honestly, a lot of people praise 1, but I like the cheesiness of 2 though. I like the cheesiness of 2 and 3. Like, the reason I don't like 3 so much is because the end is just eh. I don't know, this one... I found this one more interesting. I think this is my favorite Fear in the end. And perhaps I should actually play this one. It's not even such a long game. Maybe I could just play it. 3 had annoying enemies as well, from what I remember. It was kind of annoying to play, I'm not gonna lie. 2 is just right, in my opinion. Should I? Do you... Okay, so you know what? Since you're talkative, do you prefer Dead Space or do you prefer something you've never seen before, like Fear? Unless, of course, you also don't know anything about Dead Space, which will make it very interesting for you. Oh god, here we go. Fuck it, let's go. Oh my god, alright, I'm gonna shut down the stream because I like things tidy. I like things archived correctly. So I'm not gonna just switch category or something. I'm gonna stop the stream. I'm gonna restart the stream in 10 minutes. So stick around. Or I should say that like with Arnie's voice, like stick around. Remember that scene in Predator? He throws the knife, gets the guy stuck on the whatever it was, like a wooden post or something, goes like, stick around. I love the Predator. Such a good movie, like the fucking original back then. It was full of that shit. You'll be around, just rather lurky. I see, you little lurker. Yeah, go do your morning things. I'm gonna turn off my stream and you can decide if you're gonna participate in this fuckfest. So yeah, this is where we stop the just chatting part. And thank you for watching. If you're in it only for that, then thank you for watching for now. I'll see you on Saturday probably. If you stick around, in 10 minutes I will switch to Dead Space. It's been decided. I could go for System Shock, but I'm just not feeling like it. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. So see you in 10. Otherwise, see you on Saturday. And in both cases, thanks for watching and have a great rest of the week if you're going. Okay, catch you in a little bit.